Then it came time to go to Vietnam. And I had volunteered for Vietnam. And I couldn't get anybody to take action on my request. Wouldn't do it, wouldn't do it, wouldn't do it.
What year was this?
This was about 1965. I finally made a trip down to San Antonio to talk to him. I come to find out, I read my efficiency reports, and they were all endorsed by the vice commander of 9th, who was a colonel, says, this man absolutely cannot be transferred. Absolutely essential in the job he's in. A fellow by the name of Dave Tudor. And I come back and I talked to Dave. I said, man, you're doing me wrong. Anyway, we had a party at the officers' club. I had a couple of martinis. I went up to the general, Dude Haynes. I said, sir, aren't we needing pilots in Southeast Asia? He said, you betcha. I said, well, I've volunteered for innumerable times, and your number 2 guy keeps shooting me down. He said, do you want to go to Vietnam? I said, yes, sir. I'll fly anything they got over there, any of them. He said, what'd you put in for it? I said, well, I'm down to A1s now. He said, that's the airplane for you. You're going to learn more about warfare and close air support in that airplane than any airplane over there. So he said, come and see me Monday. We went to see him Monday. The secretary stopped me and had me a set of orders. Says, you're late for school. You should be down at Hurlburt last week. So off to Hurlburt I go and got checked out in the A1. So you talk about a solid built airplane. That A1 could carry the same amount of ordnance that the B-17s did in World War II on a single engine and externally, whole external. Well, I enjoyed this training down there. Got motors for Southeast Asia. Wife moved back to California.
Had you guys talked about this prior to this, about you going volunteering for Vietnam and now actually being in harm's way? I mean, what was her take on that? And
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we talked about it. She knew I wanted to go. Anyway, at that time, there were 2 squadrons of A1s in Vietnam. One was the 602nd, which is at Lake Confidant, Thailand, and one was the 1st Air Commando Squadron at Pleiku, which is in the highlands of Vietnam. And I ended up going to the 1st. Got my in-theater checkout. Checked out to fly element lead, and then flight lead. We went through a brief session over there of in-theater checkouts. That's where we're going to skip the A1 school and just send pilots over to be checked out in theater in Vietnam. I had one assigned to me. He was a C-124 driver, the old shaky kid. We went out for his dollar ride was an actual combat mission. We were making dive bombing passes and strafing passes, dodging flak. Came back, landed, got on the airplane. I head towards squadron ops. He's going the other way towards base ops. I said, "Where are you going? We got a debrief down here." He says, "You go ahead and debrief. Tell him anything you want to." He said, "I'm going to get a new assignment." He says, "You and I are 2 entirely different air forces."
What did he mean by that?
That he wasn't about to hurl his body at the ground anymore. Two entirely different air forces. Another funny thing that happened over there was every once in a while we were on pretty close knit with the Mike Force people, which were the special ops. And those guys literally lived behind barbed wire within the compound, the rest away from the rest of the people. They were mean bastards. And I took one of them up one day, and we got shut up a little bit. Came in, and I didn't have any hydraulic system, no brakes. And if I brought the power back below a certain setting, the engine would stop. So I had to leave it up a little higher than normal. Came down and landed, and we touched down hot. And the tail hook didn't engage the resting barrier. And we were whistling down that runway. I wasn't sure we were going to be able to stop or not. And we had a high-speed taxiway that paralleled the runway. So I peeled off on it, still going fast. finally got the thing stopped as I went through the armed man's gates of the bomb dump.
Oh, jeez.
Came to a rest in the bomb dump. And my legs are, it's shaking like, this guy says, that's pretty slingy. Can we go up again tomorrow? I said, son, if I get my legs to stop shaking, I ain't never flying again. Another interesting thing that happened over there, like I said, we were pretty tight with the snake eaters, the Mike Force Green Berets. We devised a method of resupplying them by air using false napalm drops. In other words, we would fill a napalm canister full of medical supplies, ammunition, food, whatever they needed. And just before sundown, or sunup, and just after sundown, we'd make a dry run on their last reported position. And they would flash a light at us. We'd go through it, pick a little stuff up, they'd come out and grab it and run. They called for emergency resupply one time. I took a flight of 4. And the weather was crummy. Oh, it was below the mountaintops. And I found this narrow ravine running back through the mountains. I said, I'll fall into this place and see if I can't find you. When you hear my engines, give me your light. And they did. I saw them, and I held it. Didn't let the other planes come down. So I went up and got them one by one. I said, I'll stay right on my wing and drop when I tell you to drop. We were, it seemed like we could have been 5 feet from the edge of the mountains, through this ravine. Anyway, then we went over to the train, which was their special ops headquarters, to give a demonstration of this new procedure we devised. They liked the idea, they liked the accuracy of it, they liked the guys doing the flying. And I happened to take 6 of those Rangers with me. Wasn't armed with anything. The ordnance, when we went over or coming back, would happen to have 20 millimeter, 4 20 millimeter cannons. So I called Hackett and said, hey, this is Hobo such and such. We got some 20 mic here if you could use it. He said, oh man, can I? He says, we've got some VC cornered in the woods down there. You're cleared in hot. So I rolled in and started firing. There was hellacious commotion in back of me. And you see that this is, we used to call this the blue room.
Bring this around, right in front of you there.
The blue
Burley.
room. And these army guys had shot out the entire blue room and was firing their M16s. It's the same guys I was strafing at. And that took a little bit of explaining to the boss when I got back.
So how many missions all told did you fly over in Vietnam?
300.
300. And you were there just one term, 1 year tour? So 300 missions in a year, huh?
Yeah, it was actually 300 days.
Jeez. So mission a day, pretty much.
Yeah.
Is there any particular missions that stick out in your mind that were that were
Oh yeah.
that you felt more danger than normal, or
Yeah, for some reason, the commies thought that they could put a SAM site down in Route Package 1, which was the one closest to the DMZ. I don't know if it was just for propaganda purposes or they really thought that they would have a chance to shoot an airplane down. So they sent us, sent the A1s up to go SAM hunting. To me, that's being asked to run a foot race in a full bucket of sand. Anyway, I picked up the 3 guys I wanted to go with me, and we briefed all night, planned all night. And we're going to hit it just at daybreak. We had some photographs that we thought we do, pointed out to where we thought the site was going to be. So we taxied out, loaded for bear. Before you take the runway, you stick your arms out the cockpit, away from any switches, so the ground crews know that they check the arm switches and everything. They give you a thumbs up. So I get checked and I pull out on the runway, waiting for number 2, number 3, number 4. They don't come. I said, come on, 2, let's go. 3, let's go. He says, not till you light that pipe, boss. And I always flew with smoking a pipe. So I had to make a show of lighting the pipe, you know, so to show up in the dark, light my pipe, and here they come, toot, toot, toot. They knew that There were a lot of missions. I came back and the stem of my pipe was in my mouth and the bowl was down on the floor someplace because it bit right through it.
I guess along those lines, can you describe, someone like myself has no idea what it's like to be in combat, how you prepare yourself to go into combat when you're in those in harm's way flying, and then how do you decompress once you've landed and you're back in your Quonset? I mean, what are the different steps like? What's that like to you? Can you just give us a little description of that?
Well, a lot of time it was just simply routine. A suspected bivouac or a suspected truck park. Anytime something was suspect, you knew it was going to be kind of a blah mission. But if you were going after something that was a hot target, you be extra careful for it. You made sure everybody knew what their role was. Normally we tried to roll in varying azimuths, so you'd have mutual coverage. I had one of my wingmen, Jimmy Thing, who was a quiet birdman, and he literally saved my life one day when he said, "Boss, break." So I broke off, and he had a gun emplacement in sight that I hadn't seen. He was tracking me. After your mission was completed, you checked each other over, come up behind them and go underneath them for battle damage. And I got hit one time. The airplane was just all over the sky. I couldn't control it. I called two, and I said, "Two, check me over." It was at night. He come up, turned his landing lights on, and he says, "Jesus, boss, your fuel tank is gone." He said, "The moorings that hold it on to the fuselage are gone. You took a hell of a hit." And it was pitch dark, and I thought, oh God, I don't want to go down, not here. So I jettisoned my tank, and the airplane smoothed out. Got me home. But I was scared to death I was going to have to get out of that airplane.
I mean, how do you cope with something like that? I mean, you're scared there, and then, once you've landed and you're laying in bed that night, and you've got time to think, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you recount that again, or is it something you can put behind you, or?
You recount where you could have improved. I should have done this. I should have done that. And you filed away lessons remembered, lessons learned. Yeah, you do that all the time. I got pretty good at it. I had the best flight, and I signed off on all of them to become flight lead, and not on one of them would do it. we'd rather fly on your wing, boss.
Hmm.
And this Jimmy thing that I was talking about, he was the best formation pilot we had. He could put that wingtip right in your lap. It would stay there. And we got scrambled out to Pleasuring. It was a special forces camp. It was being overrun. And they were coming across the border of Laos. He and I got scrambled 4 times that night. We had changed airplanes 4 times. First mission out there, stick with me, Jimmy. And I switched frequencies to talk to the FAC and to the ground at AM and FM. And I thought, man, wish they're getting a lot of flack. And the Vietnamese tracers were green. Ours were red. I glanced out to the side, and there's Jimmy on my wing with all his navigation lights on. I said, Jim, turn those lights off. I said, they're seeing you, but they're aiming at me. Say again, boss? I said, turn your lights off. I didn't get that, boss. I said, turn those goddamn lights off, Jim. He did. And then all he had to fly by was just the exhaust flames out of my engine for position. But we came back from that first mission, and we just changed airplanes rather than wait for them to rearm or hold us. Just changed airplanes, and we did it 4 times that night. And the Army put us in for a Silver Star. And our squadron commander, he was a general's aide before he took it through the recommendation into his desk choices. Nobody gets a Silver Star before I do.
Hmm. So once again, what was it like being, here's this, keep going back to this Midwest Kansas boy. Now he's in the jungles of Southeast Asia. What was it like over there as far as?
Well,
Were you stationed flying out of Thailand, or were you in country?
In country.
Okay.
We were in what they call Central Highlands, which was a little higher. The nights were cool normally. But boy, during the rainy season, monsoon season, you couldn't believe how much water was. And I went back to Hawaii to meet my wife for R&R. We brought up all the electric blankets that the Sears Roebuck had. Took them back to Vietnam and said, what the hell you need blankets over there for? Well, it was to keep our clothes and beds dry.
What were conditions like on the base? Was it a
Very primitive. And a very small, what do you call a BX? Just a canteen. We could normally get beer, although the cans would be rusted through, and half of them be empty.
huh?
The Army, the Night Force people, got whiskey, but they couldn't get beer, so we do a lot of swapping. I went to Matrang with the Special Forces guy, and we went downtown to eat. Well, first of all, I walked to this bar, and everybody in there is shirtless, no shirts. Right away, I'm in the wrong place. And they were black forces. You were the puking officers? I said, yeah. What do you do? Says a pilot. Yeah, where you fly? I said, A1s. You fly Skyraiders? I said, yeah. Come on, buddy, have a drink. We gave us plenty of close air support when they needed it. Anyway, I went in to eat with this guy, and there's a rat running across the rafter up there. He's done that boot, picks up that knife and throws it, pins that rat right to the rafter. Man, you're the kind of guy I want watching my back.
Good one.
Yeah, they were gonna go tiger hunting. I said, can I go along? Yeah, we'll find you a tree. You don't get down from that tree, you understand? Anyway, I'm out there in the field with them, and I hear this tremendous roar of gunfire. And they had shot a tiger all right, and the son of a bitch weighed 600 pounds more than what he did live, because there's that much lead in him. We were sitting around a campfire, and they opened up this jar. Takes a bite, that's the other guy takes one out, chews it, all around it comes to me. I said, what are we eating? He said, ears. I said, ears? Yeah, ears, you know. And I damn near took it. Come to find out they were dried peaches. They were wanting to get me.
That's it. That's quite a story.
And each of them had a monkey. and the monkeys ran loose in their barracks. Like I said, they were in a compound within the compound. And these monkeys were taught to piss on a blue suit or a flag suit. Come in there and fight.
Talk a little bit about the Vietnamese people and your interaction with them.
Well, first of all, we had, we call them a hooch maid that would do our personal laundry, clean up our living area. And we would send stuff home with them, soap, things that they, it's kind of short supply. And I went into the town of Pleiku one night, and I was waiting for the last I even forgot what we used to call it. The little three-wheeled powered wagons,
Tuk-tuk?
something like that.
Yeah.
And this one Vietnamese come up and says, "You stay here, you stay here. No go base." And I spent the night in the house with the dirt floor because the VC had taken over that town that night. And the morning comes that they all disappear, you know. Go back to the regular jobs on the air base or what. But they gave you warning. And I had a picture taken for my wife. I was over there. I was in uniform, flight cap, fatigues, and had Vandergriff name tag, big letters. And it shows up in this photographer's front window, this wide and about 6 feet tall. And I said, "Man, if there's not a reward out of my head, there is now." And when we got ready to come home, the Vietnamese were a very sentimental people. And there was teary goodbyes. And I went into my hooch mate's house in town. She said, "But children have something for you." And the two little kids came up. Instantly, she had lost her husband, her brother, her uncle, and her brother-in-law, all to the VC. Anyway, the kids come in, they have these, each of them has this egg. And I knew what it was, back of my mind, I knew what it was. And I finally got a point across to them, I says, "No, I'm not worthy of it. You number 10, me number 1. You eat the eggs." Which was a big thrill to them. They cracked them open.
Yeah.
cracked them open, and it was an unborn chicken in there. And that was a real relishment to them. It was, they'd suck that meat off those little chicken legs.
Honor to you.
Huh?
Honor to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an honor to me. And I wish I had known how to get a hold of them. Because Pleiku was one of the places that was really hit bad during Tet. And I just wonder what happened to that family. I would really like to have gone back and see what happened to them.
Go ahead, yeah, please go ahead and just talk.
How do you want to end your career?
Yeah. So from Vietnam then, you were stationed
Well-
back stateside, and
Yeah, they said, your assignments came through, and I said, good, where are we going? Pentagon. Said, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. I said, I'll extend. Fine, we'll accept you. You can extend. When you do with that extension, you're going to Pentagon. Jesus. You know, I had gotten out of going to SAC and to BAC and to the Pentagon and to any of the other trash hauling outfits. So I went to the Air Force Command Post. And it was an interesting job. It was a busy job. Boy, I tell you, to work 16 hours a day was nothing. And I remember being assigned as an action officer. I was assigned an action officer twice. An action officer is the primary honcho that follows up that project from start to finish, from beginning to solution. One of them was for the EC-121 shoot down, and one was for the seizure of the Pueblo in Korea. And I prepared this briefing, and read it by my boss. Perfect, perfect. Don't change a thing. Go with it. Let me know how it comes out. I give to this general's office, and I brief it. I know where to start, and he says, get out of here. Just like that. So I folded my tent and left. So down to him, I said, I don't understand what the hell happened. He was in a foul mood, or I started off on the wrong foot or something. He said, let me see the slides you used. He said, oh no, you never brief General so-and-so using blue slides. He can't stand them. So I just changed the background on them to orange or yellow or something. Went up there and gave the same briefing. Good job, good job. They were,
That's amazing.
yeah.
That was the year, and then
So the politics were pretty thick then. I imagine was it hard to wade through all the politics and.
Oh,
Burley,
yeah.
tell him about the EC 121 shoot down. He may not be aware of that.
Yeah, for
Oh.
those of us that don't know about it.
Yeah, that was shut down off the coast of Korea also.
Yeah, I
It
don't know.
was,
It was unarmed,
uh-huh.
unarmed by itself. And what, big 15s or 17s or something?
Yeah. All hands lost.
Huh.
Yeah, I had the privilege of briefing Jimmy Stewart every year. He'd come in to get his annual briefing.
Huh.
And one of the interesting things about, I had a job of briefing the tank, which was the inner sanctum of the command post, on recommendations for the Medal of Honor. And I read some recommendations that were, boy, did that guy earn it.
Wow.
Huh.
And then he'd get turned down.
He had turned down.
Yep.
These were Air Force guys? Or-
Yeah.
Now,
And-
tell Brad a little bit about command post, like the Air Force command. That's a top command post
Yeah.
in the Air Force. Tell him a little bit about that, because he
Well-
may not be aware what happens there. It's like a nerve center.
Yeah. They had instant worldwide communications with anywhere in the world. Tracked all air traffic, especially the military. Took action on any crisis that arose where it was a State Department responsibility or DOD responsibility. They at least put somebody on it. Responsible for briefing the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Wow.
Let's get back to the medal. The political climate had to be just right for the president to present the Medal of Honor to somebody. So the party needed a boost or something. And I've had two friends that were awarded the medal. And the most received it posthumously because something happened to him in the meantime.
Hmm.
Both of them killed in a private airplane. It just, the political climate wasn't
Yeah.
so that, which to me is just,
That's politics, isn't it?
oh, at its worst.
Now, is that command post in the Pentagon, or is it at Bowling, or is it?
It's Pentagon.
It's at Pentagon
It's
itself,
in the basement.
in the basement, huh?
How is it when you look at as a civilian looking in? So I'm asking this from a military person. When you look at like Vietnam and well, the Iraq War today, where it seems like politicians meddle in the military, and where that something like that, it seems to me, should be separated and let the military run the war and keep politics out of it.
Vietnam was a classic example. Johnson and McNamara micromanaged. There wasn't a single target hit that didn't have their approval. One day we were out and I saw 3 boatloads of about 200 soldiers in each load boat, North Vietnamese, crossing the Mekong. And I called for a strike. Hillsborough, our airborne command post, standby. And by the time that these guys saw us, they were really good
Yeah.
paddlers. They said, permission denied to hit. What? Can't hit them. The next day, we were set up there to hit them after they'd already gone into the forest. And Darrell Spitler, who was General Haynes' aide here at Colorado Springs, was my wingman that day. And Darrell got a secondary explosion, some ammunition or something, and it flipped him over. He went right into the ground. Instantaneous. We lost that man for no reason at all that I could see.
Hmm.
Tell you how good that guy was. We were carrying 2,000-pounder bombs one day. We were up on a bridge busting mission. And he shut that thing off. The guy that we lost. We were carrying 2,000-pound bombs. And at the time, we were having fusing problems. The damn things wouldn't go off. Well, Darrell dropped one, climbed back to altitude, which isn't easy carrying a 20,000 or 2,000-pound bomb, and dropped a second one. And he said, "Boss, I think you just better save yours. We'll take it back to base and see if they can find anything wrong with it." I said, "Okay." But before I went back, I went down flew down across this bridge, and there were two round craters in that bridge. He hit them both bombs
Square on.
square on,
Wow, quite a story. Went right through it.
right through them. And I got a call from the Marines at Dong Ha one day. For close air support. And I said, "Man, I don't have any close air support stuff." I said, "All I've got is 2,000-pound bombs. We'll take whatever you got." I said, "Well, I wish in my own mind I was thinking, I wish I had nape and steak, that's CBU and napalm." I said, "Okay, let me know when you're ready for it. We're ready right now. We're in the wire." So I rolled in, I picked off that 2,000-pound bomb. And when a 2,000-pound bomb goes off, that shock wave just goes outwards. And this guy on the ground says, "Excuse me, what the fuck was that?" I said, "That was a 2,000-pound bomb." He says, "You got any more of those?" I said, "I got one more."
say the things that the people you saved?
And there must have been some satisfaction in knowing that you were saving men on the ground.
Yeah. The A1 had such a variety of missions. From laying mines to close air support to interdiction to infiltration, exfiltration, and all of it in day or night circumstances. Now, when I was over there, we did it all.
No, but you never said anything about your headaches, how it affected you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they cut my time over there by 60 days. I was getting ferocious headaches. Just blinding headaches. They sent me to the hospital at Cameron Bay, and it again, it was PSTD, PSPD, post traumatic
Stress?
syndrome disorder. Yeah, that's what they call it now.
Like how sick you were about the whole thing.
Yeah, I hated to leave that, but we flew a lot of search and rescue missions, and they worked. Our call sign automatically changed to Sandy. Sandy became the new call sign. Sandy 1, Sandy 2 was low Sandy. Sandy 3 and 4 were high Sandy. Sandy 1 was automatic on-scene commander. He owned every airplane in Southeast Asia. Every airplane. The Navy, the Marines, the Army, anything that could fly that would help get a man out, he controlled them.
How did you feel about the whole thing? Physically, mentally?
Mentally, it was quite exhausting because you had to have airplanes orbiting here, so they wouldn't run into each other. They had different altitudes, stack them up. Remember who's ready and how much time on target do they have left.
So not only were you controlling your own airplane, you had your wingmen to be concerned about and
Yeah.
everything with their airplanes.
Yep.
You had the enemy below to keep an eye on. You had commanders back,
Yep.
command back talking. I mean, you were the central. Everything was.
As you're trying to listen to the guy on the ground, that survival radio was the godsend. It saved more people than anything else. Than just to be able to come on the radio on the guard frequency.
You memorized things.
Huh?
How was it when you came back and they bombed your whole area? The pigs and everything?
Oh, well,
You just came back from a flight
This was around the base.
when you was in Vietnam.
one time, SAC would never tell us what missions they were scheduled to fly. I mean, that was just above SACs. I got fragged in on the same target as a B-52 mission. I was down at treetop level, and the whole world turned orange.
Mm.
These guys were 40,000 feet above me, dropping 500-pound bombs, just like cough drops. And I'm right in the middle of them. And I thought, man alive,
Everything blew up.
yeah.
Were you by yourself earlier, or were you have wingmen too?
No, I was by myself.
Wow. Had to be. And you didn't know it till it actually
No,
started.
huh?
Wow.
But I sure raced up hell, but it didn't go anywhere. You know, sack is sack.
And how did you feel about the people, the Vietnamese there?
Well, the Vietnamese are good people. The hardships, the things they had to go through just to survive.
Do you feel like you have any of that post syndrome?
Oh yeah,
To this day, do you still feel it?
yeah. I
Yeah.
still go to
Do ya?
sessions. Yeah, weekly.
Burley, what was your Sandy call sign was for search and rescue. What was your normal call sign?
Hobo.
Hobo. Okay. That was well known.
Was it? Yeah.
Tell him what a call sign is, Burley, so he knows. Call sign is,
The call sign is, each squadron had a designation, and like ours was Hobo for the 1st Air Commando Squadron. And you were fragged for mission B, Hobo 1 and 2, this target, 3 and 4, this target, on down the line. But if you were, they reported the aircraft down, they say, Hobo 4-1, you're now Sandy 1. And that was an automatic assumption of the responsibility for. And there were times that we just could hear the beeper, hear the guy on the radio, back and forth, taking all this ground fire, think he had it narrowed down, and it'd go off the air. And we wouldn't hear from him again. And sometimes I know that they had taken the guy prisoner and was using his radio to decoy us in.
Oh, jeez.
And I don't doubt what a lot of them. I know I carried a 38 with me, and I was not going to be taken prisoner.
Wow.
Do you feel like you have any trauma after it?
Hmm?
Mentally or more mental after war?
Well, another question along those lines: how was it to transition back from
Exactly.
being in the war to coming back to the States and to the safety of America and being in Washington D.C. And I guess Loretta, a question I could throw at you: what was did you see a difference from him leaving Vietnam or going off to Vietnam and coming home? Was there a difference? Did you notice a difference? I guess.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. More silent, not communicated.
I tell you,
Don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
you have, I can't describe the feeling. Getting off that airplane, you're back home, and seeing those pickets,
Ah.
and have to change out of my uniform, can't even wear a uniform, into civilian clothes, and have a red ink thrown on you, baby killer. It really made you wonder, was it worth it?
I have to say one thing. I'm very proud of Burley. I am so proud of his adjustment, what he's done for his country. Burley doesn't let you know his inner feelings so much. He was very hurt when he came back. Oh, tremendously hurt. But he tried very hard to adjust to family life here, but I'm sure he has scars that he won't share with me or
Anybody, I think
not
that's
even
kind of
with
normal.
himself. But I am very proud of the way he has been as a good husband, a good father. He's tried so hard. I can't say that I'm any prouder of anybody than he is. But of course he's fine with me.
Betcha. Well, I think Brad finds out that interviewing almost all vets that have had any kind of combat, he has them turned down a lot, don't you, Brad? I mean, they just can't,
Yeah,
just can't relive those experiences.
But that's what I'm proud of Burley.
Yeah.
He
That's the
can,
class
but he
sessions
won't
I
give
was
you
going to.
the inner
Yeah.
feelings.
there's some of them there that absolutely don't say a word.
Yeah.
Whole hour and a half.
Brad was telling me that he's got one guy that went through the baton, death march, and he's still on the fence. He still don't know whether he can, sit down with Brad and really get through it.
But I imagine it probably compounded things. I mean, anybody who go through war is traumatic enough, but to come home to the welcome you came home to just had to compound things. I just can't imagine what that was like.
I'll make it a point. I see a guy, Vietnam vet, I go welcome him home. These young kids going to Iraq, I make a point going over and thinking of them.
Now, has your experience in Vietnam changed your thought on war itself, or the first Gulf War and the present Iraqi war? How has that affected? I guess how was war that time in your life affected your life in general, or played a part in your life?
What makes you more bitter? I mean, all these kids that went to Canada, these damn rich civilians that stayed home.
Well, it was and I'm not sure Iraq is getting in that kind of same situation but Vietnam was probably the worst, I think. It just seemed like that,
Why?
just a small minority of them really carried the load.
Has over this last 30 or some odd years now since Vietnam, has your thought changed about that war at all, or from when you were there to now, as you've had time to look back on it and everything we've learned about it?
No, it was it hasn't, not a thing changed. The way the war was conducted, the rules of engagement were so restrictive. I don't know if you were not the QB meeting about three months ago or so, when Bauer Sox was giving his little talk about this 100th mission up north. Anyway,
I might have missed it.
he got to come home after 100 missions. And he said, I lost a couple of planes on that mission. He said, I finally just had to leave and go home. And that chewed on me for a month till next meeting. I said, Sox, took you 100 missions for your ticket home. I said, I flew 300. And those two guys you lost up there, who do you think was up there looking for them?
But you also knew that he had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's start to wind down this interview. I guess my last question, one of the last questions, just to make it a little lighthearted again, is could you tell the story about the time you took that woman up for a ride?
Oh,
Got to hear this story, and then we'll wind down the interview.
yeah, she was a well, she was handling the news for Mademoiselle or Elle or one of those.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And she wasn't exactly a reporter, but anyway, she asked the boss, what was my chances of getting the flight? And he said, well, none, zero, can't go. Pulled her aside, I said, you be at the flight line at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'll get you on an airplane. And she showed up. And we went up on the mission, and unfortunately, we got some battle damage. We got the windscreen shot out. And anytime our aircraft landed damaged, the old man met it. And he met me. And I had her. I said, crouch down. And he'd already found out about it. I had broken regulations. He says, what's the matter, Burley? She kicked the windshield out on you? I said, boss, I'm so sorry. And he retired as a 2-star.
What did he tell you though? Didn't he say, you want me to give you Good ass chewing or
Oh,
court martial or something?
that was, no, that was a
Is that a different one?
different one. Yeah, he said, what had happened is, I was getting ready to come home. About by the last day or so. And I got the flatline truck. And Jimmy Thing and I went to town. And any broads that were standing around, were all prostitutes. Put them in a truck. And off to the base we go. Take them through the front gate. And we go down to the area, and I said, okay, here's one for you, and here's one for you, and here's one for you. All down the line till we ran into the girls. They all got together, they were taking a shower at the same time. And here come the APs. Sir, we got a report that you brought some girls into the restricted area. Oh? Yes, sir. In fact, sir, I think we can hear them. I said, do me a big favor. Just let me get the girls loaded, and I'll get them out of here. Okay, sir. No use trying the front gate. It's guarded and it's locked. I'll go the back way. If you hurry, you might be able to beat the police down there. It was locked. So that's when I was hauled in to the old man the next day, and he says, I got three choices for you. He said, a court martial, Article 15, or official written reprimand.
Reprimand.
What do you think I ought to do? And I says, why don't you just chew my ass and let me go? What are you going to sue? Send me to Vietnam? He said, get out of here, Vandergriff. I'm so glad to see you leave this base.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, let's close down this this interview. Is there any last statement you'd like to make before we shut off the camera?
Let's go to the photos.
And then, yeah, we'll go over the photos. But any last statements you'd like to make on anything? Any closing comments?
Have faith in your military. Give them what they need, provide them with what they need, and let them run the operation. Vietnam wasn't handled that way, and Clinton didn't handle that way. He will never recover from the cuts that Clinton imposed on us. Believe in America, buy American. It's a great profession, and it's one to be honored. And it's an honor to be part of it.
Very good.
And I
Well,
love my
well-
wife.
Yeah, 'cause I love my wife.
Well, Burley, I want to thank you for sitting down to tell your story, but more importantly, I want to thank you for your service to our country.
Well, thank you, sir.
Now you do.
That's a T-28 Trojan and a T-33 T-Bird. That's the two aircraft I flew, going through basic training, basic pilot training, and the T-28 is the one that I had to dead stick twice. The aircraft in the background are the Harvard Mark IVs, and the ones in front with the V-tail are French-built CM-170 Foucault-Magisters. This airplane we transitioned our students into, and the instructor who sat in the back actually had a periscope to look at for forward visibility.
This is over in Germany?
This is in Germany, and that tower is about 20 miles from the one that was taken over by the terrorists who killed the Hebrew
Olympic guy?
Olympic medalists, yeah. The Olympic guys. Copy made of this. This is returning from a mission. We flew only the E models and the G models, which were two-seater, side by side, but only one being occupied. The later models were single seat. Being left seat only, it necessitated all of our roll-ins to be to the left, which made it a lot easier for the ground crews to target us. That's an A1 loaded with 4 500-pound napalm cannons at CBU and 20mm cannon fire, and that's me in my everyday uniform, flying uniform, lowered down with 3 survival radios, baby bottles of water, maps, charts, survival equipment, and a .38 revolver. I was taken in Australia, boarding a Australian Mirage 2, which is a French-built aircraft, and I got to fly it down there, and took me quite a while to get into the G-suit again. I hadn't been in a G-suit in quite a while, but I made a pass between the flagpoles, and the Ministry of Defense called me and said that he'd had a airspace violation. And I knew him as a friend. And I said, Wally, that was me. He said, that was you? I said, yeah. He said, I can't bend the rules for you to violate the airspace. I said, Wally, who built and who owns this airbase? That was the Chenault trophy that was created by Chiang Kai-shek and Madame Chenault were the most outstanding unit in the 14th Flying Tiger Air Force. And that's the F-89D that didn't have the golden BB, the golden rocket. This is taken in Vietnam. Crew chief has given the okay to, he's showing you he's pulled the chocks and you're ready to taxi. And you taxi out, keeping your hands outside the canopy while your orbit is checked. So nobody gets blamed for action. And it's chemical cluster bomb units in those tubes. And I thought I had one around here, but I guess filled with little pellets, and they'll just level anything. They're pretty devastating. That's 12.5-foot diameter prop on that airplane.
What was the nickname, Burley?
SPAD. Search and rescue mission. You have the FAC, the Jolly Green rescue aircraft, and Sandy trying to locate the guy. And Sandy's loaded with a CBU. Okay, and this was painted from a copy of a Flying Safety magazine, and a very dear friend painted this with me. Unfortunately, she's passed away now. And she tried to portray what it felt like to come back after a night mission. You walk back into operations.
Go ahead.
This was Germany with the first class of German Air Force retreads. The Americans and the Germans are intermixed in there, and you can see what the weather was like. That's a T6 Harvard. It's a 101B firing the Genie, which was an atomic warhead rocket.
Huh. Okay, Burley.
Okay, Burley. And this one here.
Oh, that's the first ACS, Pleiku, Vietnam. A lot of those folks are no longer with us. In fact, we have about a 40% attrition rate. Black party suits that we had made for us. And there was a newspaper article came out. They called us the Black Bastards of Pleiku or something. Anyway, and this is our squadron commander standing in the middle there. He retires a 2-star. Ed Maxson, who's dead, George Peterson, myself, and Ernie Giovanni over on the far left.
So you went from right to left.
Yes.
Okay. Want to say that again, Burley?
Yeah. Ron Finch, on his last mission, and
You said you had a lot of respect for him?
good, yeah, a lot of respect. And that's, again, from left to right, Ernie Giovanni, Ed Maxson, myself. Oh no, Ernie, George Peterson, myself, and Ed Maxson. Ed Maxson died later after he got back from the States in a private aircraft accident. Loaded in tubes and triggered from the cockpit, and these fins would fold out so that they would kind of flutter down.
Just something like that, huh?
Yeah. And we also had a mission where we dropped anti-personnel mines. We used to call it the McGee Pass. And we lost